First, I'll be making a 7 inches mark, and on that 7 inches mark, I'll make a half inch notch. After making that half inch notch, I would also make a 3 inches mark on the waistline. From that edge, then I will make a 1/4 inch notch, and both notches will actually give me the slant I need for my pocket. So I will be showing you. So that's the slant, and I will be adding interface to the wrong side of that slant. Then I'll be making use of my pressing iron to create the slant. After adding interface to that slant, we also made use of the pressing iron to solidify the slant like that. And then we'll go straight to the working of the pocket. For the pocket, we'll be using a 15 by 13 inches dimension, and we also made a curve on the downline of the pocket. You can leave yours straight if you want it. Then I'll place both side by side like that, and I'll be using a pin to hold the edges of both like that. You can decide to just use a simple stitch to hold it down. I'll be making a notch on the pocket. I actually made a half inch notch on the trouser fabric itself on the 7 inches mark. That same position, I'll be making a notch on the pocket, the same half inch notch. And then I will bend to the slant and make a half inch stitch on top. And that's our stitch right there. So I'll be turning it to the other side, then I'll be removing the pins. So after removing the pins, I'll be sewing the excesses on the pocket. So there's an excess dangling there, and I'll be matching it down with my sewing machine on the pocket. So I'll fold the edge. If you like, you can make a whipping of the edge for yours. You can use a weaving machine to just whip it, then you sew it down like that. After stitching down that excesses, that's what we got. So I'll bring it out from that center point like that. Then I will make a half inch stitch on the down line. On stitching the down line, we'll bring it outwards back. So I'll be making use of my scissors to do that. So if you have your pressing iron close by, you can just use it to straighten things at this point. Preferably if you are working on a fabric that is easily controlled, you can just use your hands like I'm doing to just straighten things. And then I'll stitch the side together and the top together on the edge. After stitching together on the edge, after stitching both sides, the pocket is firmly held, so you can now put your hands inside the pocket, move it around, and see how comfortable it is. The next thing I'll be doing will be to trim off the excesses of the pocket on the top, that is the waistline, and also on the side. After which I'll go straight to the next step, and that would be the joining of the front and the back piece together. I'll be joining the front and the back piece together on the side by half inch stitch. I'll be doing that on the left and also on the right side. So I'll place the back piece on the front piece, right side facing right side. Then I'll make a half inch stitch from the crotch point right there down up until the ankle line. So I'll be making a half inch stitch from that point down up until the ankle line. Then after doing that, I'll be going to the left side and also doing the same, using a half inch stitch to join both pieces together from the waistline down to the ankle line. After sewing the sides together, you can use a whipping machine to whip the edges if you have access to it. It makes the work even more perfect. After sewing and whipping the edges, you can see what we got. So the next thing I'll be doing now would be to start joining the left and the right leg together. So I even whipped the down line of each leg of the joggers. So I'll be joining both the left and the right leg together, and what I'll be doing is I'll be joining both from the crotch point. So I'll be making use of pins to hold it down from the crotch point to the left and also from the crotch point to the right. Since we started the pinning of both legs of the trouser from the crotch points, we are sure to have a result that the crotch points will be in alignment for both legs. Then I'll be going straight to the sewing process. For the sewing process, it's just straightforward. After pinning down, you don't even have to stress. All you just need to do is start your stitching from the top of any part and make your stitching straight to the crotch point. Then from that crotch point, make your stitching to the top of the other part. We are done stitching, the crotch point is in alignment and every other thing is okay. The next stage will be the working on the waistband. The waistband is 1.5 inches high and I'll be showing you how it works. To know how the waistband works is to first of all learn how it was made, and I'll be showing you how I made this 1.5 inches high waistband. So I will open it up and show you how I started the folding in the first place. If you notice, the back part is longer than the front part by 1/4 inch. So I'll be showing you how I achieved that. So I'll be opening everything up and I'll be showing you where I started the folding, my first folding, the next folding up until the final folding. So I made my first folding without any measurements, just my first folding like that. Then I made another folding which made it 1.5 inches high. Then I used the remaining part to cover that folding and I used my pressing iron to straighten it, after which I brought it back inwards. I'll join this waistband, but I'll be joining it to the size of the waist of the joggers I'm making. You know, the joggers, the waist and the hip is the same thing. So this is definitely going to be 40. So I'm joining at 40 and I'll start the stitches from the top and I'll end at that point, give a gap and continue. I'll end at that point, give a gap and continue. That means the 1.5 inch space will be left open there, and that would be where our rubber will pass through, and also our rope if we want to put a rope. So I'll be folding back after making that stitch. My 1.5 inches gap will be there. Then I'll be placing that gap on the front of the joggers and starting my stitches from there. Just to be sure, I would use pins to hold it down from that point like that, and I will do that all through. I'll be sewing on the waistband and I'll be showing you how you do that. You just don't sew on your waistband. There are procedures to go about it. So I'll be starting from that center point and I'll be sewing 1/2 inch from the upper edge of the waistband. The way you sew on your waistband is you place it, make sure your needle is catching the rubber inside. Then you stretch the material before you sew. Make sure you stretch it before you sew. So after every stretch, you make your stitch. So you drag it backwards, then hold it down, then sew on it. You drag it backwards, hold it down, then sew on it. You will realize that after every stitch you make, the folding will become natural at the end. So you drag it backwards, you hold it down, then you stitch on it. So you continue like that all through. So you do that for the top, and for the down part, you also do it half inch before the end of the down part.
Anywhere you go, anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
So we are done sewing the waistband, so you can see how nice it is. When you are sewing yours, just make sure you stretch it before you sew. Don't just sew on it. If you sew on it, it won't move. You have to stretch it, and when you are stretching it, you must make sure the rubber inside the waistband is also stretching. So after stretching it, you hold it down, then you sew it. So for our ankle, we'll be fixing our jogger band, and that is our jogger band. Our jogger band is 5 inches high, and I'll be folding it into two to make it 2.5 inches high. So I'll be folding into 8. You can see how elastic it is. So I'll be folding into 8. I'll cut on that 8 inches mark, and after cutting, I would also cut the other side too. So that means I have 8 inches for one leg and 8 inches for the other leg. I'll fold into 2 like that, then I'll make a half-inch stitch. I'll do the same for the other one. I'll also make a half-inch stitch on the side.
Anywhere you go, you belong. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
We've prepared both jogger bands we'll be using for the downline of our outfit. You see that sewing line is very important. That sewing line will be attached to the outfit on a particular position, and that position will be the inner sewing line of the outfit. So that sewing line will be attached to the inner sewing line of the outfit. So the inner sewing line of the outfit will be attached to that sewing line, and I'll be using a pin to hold it down. So I don't want to make any mistake when I'm sewing. That is why I'm actually using a pin to hold it down before I even start sewing. So I'll do that for the right or the left leg, then I'll also do it for the other leg as well. When you are attaching your jogger band to your outfit, in fact, when you're attaching a rubber or stretchy material to any material that is not stretchy, and especially when the stretchy material is smaller in size compared to the other fabric, you have to stretch the stretchy material to meet the size of the other fabric. So I'll be stretching this jogger band when I'm sewing into the fabric. The most important thing is that sewing line must align.